switch means that it is an early demo and there are limitations, but it's free.
So me and the bot were off to an awkward start. I asked, what is ChatGPT, which is the name of it, and unfortunately it couldn't answer.
It turned out I just needed to give it another chance because it got there eventually. I then checked if it could do my job for me, and it gave it its best go, so I'll see what my editor thinks about that one. I wanted to see if it knew a little bit about Australia, and it didn't give me a direct answer at first, but when I tried again, it was pretty straightforward with meat pie. Let's be honest, with this last question, I wouldn't even know if it was right or wrong, so I gave it the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, folks, welcome to my YouTube channel. What we have here is this article by news.com.au. Can you spot the issue with these photos of an Australian workers? That's right, artificial intelligence has hit the mainstream, with art and language tools now freely accessible online. They can generate content from simple text prompts, no coding required. We asked OpenAI Dall-E to generate people behind common Australian jobs. This is what they produced. Okay, engineers, teachers, aged care workers. The prompt for above was simple, a photo of an Australian. Dall-E 2 then produced 4 options each. The algorithm seemed to equate Australian with white, despite 3% of the population of being Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander origin, and 28% being born overseas, including 5% born in India or China alone, according to the 2021 census. The AI also presented all 4 teacher images with a male, despite the Australian government workplace gender equality agency data shows 75% professionals in the preschool and the school education sector were female. The computer programmers, taxi drivers, waiters, and aged care workers also had no gender diversity in their AI-generated images. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, they kind of got the mind worker right. Computer programmer. Oh my gosh, man. This is the last laughable, man. Now it looks like it's comic book guy's main job. Plumber, kind of almost right. Nurses, well, they got that right, I guess. Perhaps the most surprising, however, was that all Australian CEOs were represented as men, not just being WGEA showed almost a quarter, 22% of the company heads were female. But because OpenAI is used the exact example of a CEO when it comes to announce it was implementing a new technique, so Dall-E generate images of people that are more accurately reflected the diversity of the world's population. This technique is applied at system level when Dall-E is giving a prompt describing a person that does not specify a race or gender, the statement read. University of New South Wales School of Computer Science and Engineering Dr. Sebastian Sequela Grayson, who has designed courses on IT ethics, said we should be worried about the results from AI tools such as Dall-E 2 because of what it says about us. AI datasets usually start with a process of humans taking images with labels, so the algorithm has something to learn of. So this is not what a typical doctor in Australia would look like, because most doctors are in various backgrounds. CEOs, yeah, kind of like that. Well, they kind of got the taxi driver wrong, because most taxi drivers aren't white in Australia if you go to many major cities in Australia. The AI is training from the cultural tropes we as species have built, he said. You are paying someone 2 cents an image to see if someone looks raw, abiding, or like a CEO. It's us humans that these decisions that data sets give us fed into the system that then learns to make predictions. If you approach humans of different ages and show them pictures of white men in suits, and people didn't look like that. Then said, pick the ones you think look like CEOs. I think a lot of humans would make the same choices. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so retail workers, well, they're in diverse backgrounds, mostly young people. Waiters, mostly young people, but most of the waiters I come across are female than male. Anyway, AI's problematic history. There are so many examples of unethical or biased AI tools. When Microsoft launched its Tay bot in 2016, it took about 24 hours of learning from Twitter to start posting pro-Hitler tweets and supporting Donald Trump's war separation, the US from Mexico. While a 2018 research paper on facial recognition technology found algorithms perform worse on dark-skinned females, with error rates up to 34% higher than for lighter skinned males. Okay, so that's the senior lecturer in epidemics. Oh, never heard that one. So Dr. Sisquella Grayson said the major ethical issue for AI in general was that humans become less answerable to decisions. He gave an example of a US AI used to predict whenever a criminal is likely to reoffend. We don't want to live in a place where we ask, why was so and so sent to prison for 20 years? Oh, I didn't know, but the AI says it's right, so it must be right, he said. He also gave the example of AI weapons. Even if they are more accurate than soldiers on the battlefield, who is answerable, he said, or should be accountable. So, do we have to live in a place where decisions around targets are being prompted by out of the end of an algorithm? AI in the wrong hands. In 2017, an AI was about that claim to predict the person's sexuality from a single image. Whenever accurate or not, Dr. Sequoia Grayson said the consequences of using such AI was horrific. It won't be long before facial recognition is available on people's phones and downloadable as an app, he said. You can imagine kids running around with the gay detection algorithm on their mobile phones. If you have met children, you know exactly what will happen. And not to mention the ramification it was used by state actors. Dr. Sequoia Grayson said new technology was typically introduced with a positive application, but once rolled out, it might be used in another way. He suggested a facial recognition app might be marketed in a way for parents to find their lost child in the crowd, but others could use it to stalk and harass. I'll be very surprised if a facial recognition app wasn't available in the next 5 to 10 years, he said. There is no point being in Australia because the internet exists, people were able to get it anyway. Anyway, folks, what do you reckon about this OpenAI attempt to generate a typical image of an Australian worker? Let your thoughts know in the comments section. Anyway, have a good day.